So why is soil phosphorus important?
Phosphorus is important. It's basically the basis of life on Earth. It drives our food production system. It's essentially drives crop production, feeds the planet. It's absolutely essential.
Oh, phosphorus is important because it drives our natural ecosystems, and it certainly drives our agricultural systems and therefore food security for the globe.
Okay, well, I think phosphorus is important for me because it feeds the world. So I'm coming from an agricultural perspective, and it's a key requirement for crops and for people as well. So we get it from us eating crops, and I think it's a major issue that people are just now starting to realize how it's going to affect crop production in the coming hundreds of years. And so it's a very, very important part of that cycle.
Well, phosphorus is important as one of the key nutrients involved in life on Earth. It's a key component of all the essential molecules in organisms, in DNA, in RNA, in phospholipids. It's involved in energy as ATP, the passage of genetic information in DNA. So it's a really fundamental element to be studying if we're interested in understanding ecosystems and how ecosystems work and function, and also for agriculture, for our food, and the nutrition of us.
So phosphorus is at the basis of life cycle because it determines the intensity of photosynthesis rate, and so without enough phosphorus you cannot produce biomass in the world. So it's really, really difficult to avoid phosphorus.
Phosphorus is important because it's a component of all living things, so basically we wouldn't exist without phosphorus.
Yeah, that's a good question. Why is phosphorus important? It's an essential element for all living beings, and it is a very immobile element. And the third reason is that it only comes from rocks. So like nitrogen, you can fix it if you have energy from the air, but phosphorus, you are dependent on what is in the rocks and going into the soil and get stuck there.
Because it's basically a non-renewable resource, there's only a set amount of it in any one soil under natural conditions. So it's not an issue for natural systems, it's an issue for agricultural systems where we're taking nutrients out of a system, we want to increase production. So that's why phosphorus is important, and there's only a set amount of it that we know is readily available. And so the other thing about phosphorus is that when you put it into soil systems, agricultural systems, most of it actually is retained there. But we have to keep topping it up because it reacts with the soil, and so we have to keep topping it up to keep the production up. And if we look at a scenario where either we start to run out of phosphorus, or you can look at it as phosphorus becoming, the availability gets volatile, or the price gets volatility, then we have to turn to the resources that we've already got in the soil. So that's a major part of what this meeting is actually, the way I'm seeing it at the moment, that's a major part of where this meeting is actually heading in terms of utilising that, yeah.
Well, I think that phosphorus is important because it's a great opportunity for everybody, meaning that for sure it's an important nutrient. We cannot live without phosphorus. Phosphorus is important for crops. But as a researcher, I think that phosphorus is important because it gives us the opportunity to explore more and to get to know more about soils, about the dynamics in soils, the interaction between life and the abiotic part of soils.
Well, phosphorus is important as a nutrient for all living beings on this planet. And phosphorus is increasingly important because we are running out of rock phosphate that can be used for producing fertilizer. And this is kind of going to be the challenge of the future, I think, to, on the one hand, get better at recycling phosphorus, but also do agriculture in a smarter way. And I think for this it's important that we better understand actually how microorganisms and plants and soil interact,